Okay.
So,
Sure.
well, and at the time you felt fine. You felt
Well, I
like
knew.
yourself, or
Well, as I say, when I was standing in the wings, ready to make the entrance, and the cue was in,
right? You were saying,
and I did all the usual things you usually do. You know, you check your props. You know, you make sure you have the pen or the pencil or whatever it is you're supposed to have, and you
yeah,
say hello to the crew in the wings, and you take your position. And
that
you,
was the way for you to some when you come on in Carousel. What you just did right
oh,
now,
was
you
it?
do that with the hat. Yeah, yeah.
But you do your routine, and I knew something was wrong. Even in the wings, I knew something was wrong. And when I got out there, I heard myself speaking, I heard my voice, but I couldn't even hear that it was, let's call it Polish, because that's what it was, but I don't speak a word of Polish. Um,
Are you Polish?
no, no,
Yeah.
no, and I never spoke
I just
Polish.
wondered if you accessed something from.
No, it sounded like Polish. My friend
Yeah.
Woody Allen told me it was gibberish.
I know that language.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that's what it was. It was there was a disconnect between my brain and my production of sound. You know, made
Wow.
no sense.
But other than that, it didn't sort of. That's very, very, very interesting. And so then, what happened after that moment? So they pull the curtain down. Everybody go home.
Well, I was passed out at that point. I
oh.
became unconscious as soon as I looked up and saw the curtain coming down. I passed out,
As it were.
and then they asked for a doctor in the
image.
house, which I didn't hear. And somebody came down and started to pump on my heart, and I woke up several hours later in a hospital, and was completely dumbfounded. As it happens, 3 days later we opened, and I was fine. I was fine. I went on opening night. My daughter couldn't believe that. She said, "Dad, don't you think maybe you shouldn't do this?" I said, "No, I think I can do it." And I did it. And I played the rest of the run, which was 7 or 8 weeks. And
That's it.
yeah, and I was fine because I started taking my medicine. Take your medicine.
See, there you go. And how is it that you began? Because you said you were. So you've done a bit of Broadway.
23 shows. 23 shows, and I've been
Do you
in a lot
sing?
of musicals. Oh yes, I was nominated for Best Performance in a Musical in 1967 when I was 27 years old, and now Dow Jones. And I won the London Critics Poll Award for Promises, Promises, in which I sang 8 songs, and I was in Jerome Robbins' Broadway, in which I sang and danced through the whole thing. So I've done
So you've been a real
almost as
triple
many
threat.
musicals as I did plays.
Oh, is
I
that
guess.
so?
I don't know. Well, it's about equal. About equal. But I don't sing like you sing.
But are you pleased? Are you happy with the way that you've lived your life? And
Absolutely. I'm one of the lucky ones who had a dream, and the dream came true. And there's nothing better than doing what you love and getting paid for it.
oh yeah,
And you can always look at people who are more successful, but you can, in my situation, look at more people who were not successful because of the odds of the business.
isn't that true?
So I see a lot of people who fell by the wayside, and a lot of people who didn't ever get the accolades and the appreciation that I have. And they're obviously bigger stars than me, but you can't look at it that way. You got to look at it as how lucky I was to be what I have been.
Beautiful. But you grew up in this environment where you were around Peter. And what I love so much about the story that you told about your father is that he allowed you the space to find that yourself. Because so often as a parent and even as a teacher, not so much that they listen to you. In fact, they don't. They watch your behavior.
I was told not to do it. I was told.
Your father said.
My father and my cousin was Everett Sloan, who was an actor in Citizen Kane, and
for heaven's sakes.
my dad's best friend was Paul Stewart, who was also in Citizen Kane and a lot of movies, and they were very successful actors in the business. And they said, "Don't do it. Don't do this life. It's too difficult, and you won't have any security. You should be a lawyer, be a doctor, be anything, but don't be an actor." And they couldn't stop it because that was the only thing I was good at. I wasn't good particularly in school and classes, and I wasn't an athlete, and I wanted to do it. And so when I got to be like 15, I think my father said, "All right, let's sit down and talk." He said, "You really want to do this? Then here's the story. You're going to do it as seriously as if you were studying to be a doctor or a lawyer or
Oh.
something like that. He
Oh.
said, you're going to go to school and you're going to go to classes and you're
Yeah,
going
we're
to
gonna
take
do it
it
properly.
very seriously.
Yeah.
Because you've got to want it, and if you want it, then you've got to work at it as hard as you can. And he was pretty strict with me. You know, he used to say, it's time to go look for a job in the morning, you know, get dressed and get your pictures and get your resume, and don't come back until 5 o'clock this afternoon. You had to make up ways to go out and sell yourself and visit offices and get thrown out and pursue it. And the people who stayed home and put their resumes and pictures in envelopes did not make it, because they take those envelopes and pictures and they throw them in the garbage.
I have seen them do it.
Yes.
I've been in the office of my management when they receive all that, and I watch it, and I can
Breaks
feel
your
my
heart.
heart like cracking. Yeah.
That's right.
And I just say, oh my God, you know, they spent all that money and
That's
the
right.
time and the hope and the everything,
No.
and they throw it right away. You're absolutely right.
Go in and meet the secretary, and even if they say to you, we're not seeing anybody, and go away, the secretary in a year's time is going to be the agent. And they are going to need clients, and they're going to know you're serious because you've been there 5 times this year
This
without
is
making
gold.
yourself
This
a
is
pest.
gold.
You don't want to be a stalker or a nut. But if you keep in touch with the people you've seen already, and you let them know when you got a little job, they may not come to see it, but they begin to say, hey, you know, this guy wants this career. We can trust him. He'll show up opening night. That's what it takes. You can't do it by mail.
That's right. I tell my students it's never crowded on the extra mile. You know, when you right.
Like that.
People drop off. Part of it is just staying in the game and
That's
just
right.
Hanging in there.
Absolutely. And you learn each time you do something. You learn from somebody who's better than you, further along than you. You see how they look at you when they say, you know, the first time I ever worked with a guy on Broadway, Sam Levine, would look at you and he was really seeing you. I mean, there was nothing he didn't see. So you begin to say, he
How do
really
you mean?
believes it. Well, you know, you can talk in the direction of the other actor.
I see. I understand.
Or you can pretend to be talking to the other actor, or you can make sure you have the other actor's attention,
Right.
because your intention is to reach into that guy and make him hear what you're saying.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, we say the same thing. I have said, if I've worked with people who are generous on stage and who are present, and for that moment that you have your moment together,
That's right.
they're absolutely 125%
That's right.
there and alive
Yes.
and engaged.
And that's what makes them, the audience,
Of
respond
course.
to it, because
it's the truth.
Because it's the truth.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the
You
truth.
can always hear that. It's so loud,
Yeah.
the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for giving me the little bit of this time on your break, which I know is so
Well, thank you.
important. I would love to just sit and speak with you. I knew there was a reason that I loved you, because I love your face and I love the way that you look. And I love that,
Thank you.
I love the kindness and the humanity that's on your face. And this comes across, too, you know, in your speech at the graduation, that everybody, we all feel the same way. You know, when you come out, it's really real for all of us. We all say, oh, yeah, Dr. Selden, that's so wonderful, you know?
Well, everybody's ready to be lifted up at the end of this, because it's
And
so
we need
sad.
it.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's so
The work
it's so
needs
true.
it. The audience needs it.
The audience needs it, and the cast needs it, and everybody needs it. So it makes it easy. I mean, looking out at everybody, everyone is so wonderful to look at. I just choose somebody different each night, or I know who's
Oh, look at me the next time.
Oh, I
okay?
promise
Okay.
I will.
Oh.
Thank you for asking me to do this.
No, my goodness. I would love to just sit with you the whole entire break and just chat with you, because you're just a treasure trove of information
Well,
and
thank you.
and beauty, and someone who really... I wanted to ask you, how is it that you... What happened? You said at 15, which not all 15-year-old boys have the self-awareness that you have to know that this is what I wanted to do. I was curious what inspired that.
First of all, it was before that I began to be complimented and looked at in school plays as early as the 5th grade. And 6th grade, when I was 11 and 10, I wanted to go to acting classes, and I did. I went to an acting class when I was 11 years old.
Wow.
And it wasn't a serious professional
Right,
acting
but-
class, but
right.
it was a class where kids portrayed. My first assignment was to be George Washington crossing the Delaware.
Look at that.
And they showed us a painting of George Washington crossing the Delaware, and they took about 7 or 8 of us, and we each said, okay, you're sitting there, you're this guy, and you're this guy, and we tried to bring that painting to life, or to find the moment that led to that exact moment.
Oh, beautiful.
So it put us into a fantasy
Sure,
world then.
sure.
So that was
Gorgeous.
that was very much part of what my journey was. But I also was very lucky because my father was a radio announcer and took me to radio drama programs, which were live broadcast.
Right.
And I was a kid sitting there watching these grown-ups in suits and ties, professionals,
Yeah.
investing every ounce of their imaginations and credibility in imagineering characters. They're playing cowboys, they're playing gangsters, they're playing policemen, they're playing whatever the story required. But I thought, this is great. These are
Fascinating.
grown-ups acting out and getting
Fascinating.
paid. Why would you want to do
Anything
anything
else.
else? That was it. I was done. That's why it took a long time for my father to say, okay, if that's what you want to do it. But initially it was like, you don't want to do that because the odds are too terrible against you and you'll never make a living and I'll have to support you forever and it'll be...
Did your father see your work?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes, he
Yeah,
did.
beautiful.
Yes, that's right. He lived to be 99 years old.
Very
So
right.
he saw a lot of my work, yeah.
And I hope that we have the pleasure of seeing much, much, much more of your work.
Thank you.
Thank you for this moment, and thank you for your time on this, the precious moment, the little time that we have in between the performances.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Tony. Thanks so much.
Sure.
Was that gorgeous?